Thank you for joining our first Hangout on Air Live. And as you have seen probably, we have a very interesting subject this time because this is going to be the first interview of the series of the hero stories that we will do, where ordinary people achieve impossible dreams. They faced obstacles and challenges and had to defy the odds to achieve their dreams. They overcame years of struggle to thrive in the end. And today I'm going to interview Samuel Rahman. As this is my eldest, he's my eldest son. And he's 19 years old. He's a college student with a full scholarship at one of the best universities in Florida, UCF. He's studying with a major in business and acting on the side. Thank you, Samuel, for being willing to do this interview with me.
Thank you very much, Mom. I'm very glad to be the first one in your hero series, and I look forward to the interview.
Yes, I think you're one of the bravest young men that I know, so that's why I thought you have to be the first one that I should interview. So, Samuel, I invited you to do this interview. I think many ambitious millennials and college students and entrepreneurs will be able to relate with your story, as a lot of entrepreneurs actually have suffered in the past also from issues, studying issues like dyslexia, and that's why I'm sure you'll be able to, that other people will be able to relate with your story. Now, Samuel was diagnosed with 3 learning disabilities at the age of 9. And he was told he could never go to university. But Samuel decided to defy the odds. And today he is successfully studying at one of the best universities. Samuel, when did you first know that you had a learning disability?
Well, I knew like around the age of 9 that there was something different about me because all my classmates were doing good in the class. And when I studied for a test or a quiz, I noticed that I had to study a lot more than they did. And even though I studied, I would still score like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, rarely 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, while my other classmates always told me like, yeah, I only studied like a half an hour for this, and I studied like 2 hours, and I was like, yeah. So I noticed that there was something different, and I think that that's at the point where I realized maybe there's something like a disability or anything of that sort, and that's when I started to realize that, yes.
Did you still feel like going to school?
Well, actually, not really, because everything really was more difficult. I noticed how much work and how hard I had to work to get good grades. And I noticed how my classmates really almost had to do no effort, and they were doing so much better than me. And it really, it's felt, a bit annoying, and all my work ethic and my work was all for nothing, kind of like that. I felt disappointed, and every time that I received my grades, and that's when I realized, yeah, I mean, that's the one point that's the one point I started to realize, okay, yeah, there is definitely a learning disability or something of that sort, and that's why I really did not start to like school anymore or anything like that. Yeah.
So, when did you find out that you had more than one learning disability?
I learned about it. I don't think it was at the same time as my parents did. I learned about it later on. When I was in my first primary school, we did some tests and diagnosis, and then we also when I switched to my second primary school, then they told me about, like, my parents told me about that I had disabilities. I had dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia. And that's when I realized, oh, so I do have, disabilities. And that's, when I realized, oh, I do have disabilities, and I do maybe have to work harder, and even though I have to work harder, I should not give up on myself. And I think that's around that point I really started to change. My perspective started to change, and I started to realize how important it is to believe in yourself.
So did you get the support actually that you needed to get?
Yes, I received some support at my primary school, and I received some support in my primary school, but the teachers were not supportive of me. In my first primary school, the teachers did not believe I could go to university. And because of that, luckily for me, I'm so grateful that my parents took this decision. They said, Samuel, we're going to move you from primary. We're going to move you to another primary. And when I went to that primary, my parents made sure that that primary had the best teachers that support you and that believe in your children. And that's what was really important for my parents. And started to realize how important that was, that your environment is essential to support you. Your environment is so important that if your environment has people that don't believe in you and try to downgrade you, you start to realize, hey, this is not the environment I'm supposed to be in. And at that point in my second primary, my teachers were so supportive. They believed I could go to university. And at that point, I believed I could achieve anything. And, I'm so grateful for that moving to the different primary school, because I was able to learn more about myself. And yeah, it showed how amazing the support around your environment and how important it is.
So now you didn't always live initially you lived in Belgium, yes, but later
Yes.
you moved to United States. And what did that change for you with your disability?
Well, it was around 2011. I heard from my parents that we're gonna move, and I was like, yes, we're going to the land of opportunities. I mean, it was always my dream to go to US, the land of opportunities, because I wanted to become an actor. And back in Belgium, there were not so many opportunities. And yeah, so in US, so much more opportunities for me to become an actor. And when I first came here in second semester, ninth grade, I was very welcomed. Like, the students did not know where I'm from. Belgium, where the hell is it? And what languages do you speak, and all of that. And I felt so welcomed here in the United States when I first started my classes in the middle of the second semester. And yeah, and then they also did some testing diagnosis, because we said that I had some disabilities, and I was diagnosed with dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia back in Belgium. And here the doctor um, diagnosed me with low processing skills. And that really made so much sense. Like, I was like, oh my goodness, that's right. I mean, now it makes sense why I had to work so much harder than my other classmates in my classes. And I was like, this like a huge revelation. I now know, like, why I've been having this like issue with having to study harder than my other classmates, and it made so much sense. And at that point I was like, this is this is such a big revelation, and I'm so grateful for that revelation, that it pushed me to work even harder. here in the United States. And I embraced the fact that I had disabilities. They diagnosed me with reading comprehension of when I first came here, of a kid of 8 years old, and while I was at that time 16 years. And they also said that I was in the third percentile rank of processing skills. So my processing skills were really low.
That means like
Um,
that means like you can say, for those who don't know, that's like if there's 100 students, then you're one of the three lowest. Yeah, in the 3%, right, of the students who had the lowest results, right?
yeah, yeah, the lowest result in processing skills. Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, and that at that point I knew that, being able to understand now finally what the issue was, I'm able to work even harder and go the extra mile, and take the extra mile to achieve my dreams and my goals.
Now you did that. How did you took the extra mile? To be able to, because what was your dream again? What was your main dream that seemed so
My main
that seemed so un that seemed so unachievable, because I said it was impossible for you?
Yes. So yeah, so back in my first primary school in Belgium, they said that being to college or university, going there, we don't believe you can achieve it. And when I was here, I really worked hard. The entrance exam for the colleges, the SAT and the ACT, I took them both. I decided to go with the ACT. And I took the ACT. The first time I took the ACT, I got an 18, and that was just when I arrived. And then I took it 10 more times after that, working
Why
hard,
did
studying, and
why did you take it more? What was the score that you need to have to be able to get into college?
well, the score was at least between 24 and 28, something like that, to go to one of the top tier colleges and to also receive the full scholarship, full Bright Future scholarship. And to be able to get that, you need to have a certain um, points on your entrance exams, and that was like around 29. And finally, I mean, after studying so hard and working so hard, I was able to get like a 29 right before entering college. And I'm so grateful for all the work that I put in and the environment that supported me. And I'm just so grateful that being able to be in an environment that supports you and your parents that support you. And even though you have an environment like that, you still have to decide yourself what you're going to do. Are you going to take the low road or the high road? You can decide to be a warrior or, a loser or a warrior. And finally, you have to decide what you want to do. And I made sure that I wanted to achieve my dream of going to university, and I worked hard for it, and it's really
That's
important. Yeah, yeah.
And what is so beautiful is that although other people said that you couldn't achieve it and it was impossible for you, that you worked your ass off, you can say,
I did.
to make it happen anyway. Like, because normally, how long does an exam last? How many hours?
Oh, normally the exam takes 3 hours, and finally, I mean, they gave me double time to take the exam with my disabilities, and
But
finally,
you
I
did
had to take the exam 10 times, and it's 6 hours for me. So exactly like 6 hours. So in total, I worked like 60 hours on the ACT taking the exam, not counting the hours that I studied, So, yeah.
Wow. So how did you do that 10 times? You did over how much period did you do that?
I entered in the ninth grade, so I started working seriously by 10th grade. 10th grade is when I started really taking everything seriously. My ACT exams and learning everything like English. I mean, English was not my first language. So like all my classes were in different language, and this was really hard move for me. And I realized, like, you know, when I just moved here, you know, this is gonna be really challenging if I don't work my ass off, you know, like, so yeah. And I'm so glad that being able to work so hard and put my effort in more than 100%, I was able to achieve my goal, and that was to go to UCF finally, to go to a university, one of the top tier university. Yes.
Yes, and it's also special in the United States. You can do your entrance exams how many times to be able to succeed?
The ACT you can take at least 12 times, and most of the students do not take that opportunity. I know my classmates and class peers, they took the exam one or twice, and they went from like a 22 to a 24, rather than continuing to take the ACT again and again to finally get a higher grade and a higher score and a higher scholarship, you know, which finally now I don't have to pay anything at UCF. So because I was able to get the 29, I was able to work hard, and I was able to get the full scholarship. And that's really important, you know. If you want to get a full scholarship for something, you have to work your ass off. I mean, no doubt about that.
So
And
what's the value of a scholarship like that?
the value of a scholarship like that, it's amazing, because it's really,
In terms of money?
time. It gives you time to think about what you want to do, because you don't have to go work in a restaurant, or you don't have to work next to school while studying. It really lifts you off of a lot of the stress that you could have in UCF. If you do have to study and work at the same time, I know that's really difficult, and I'm glad that I just put the extra effort in high school, and everything is being paid off right now.
So on a yearly basis, it costs around 6,000, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
your scholarship is for a total of how much?
So around, your scholarship is 4 years and 6,000, so that would be 6 4, so 24,000.
Yes, and you got also an additional scholarship, a kind of award that you won. Could you tell a little bit about that?
Oh, the Palm Beach Post.
Yes.
Yes, Pathfinders. Yeah, so at the end of your 12th grade, they do a scholarship. It's called the Pathfinders here in Palm Beach. And
Pathfinders Award, right?
Pathfinders Award, yes. So like schools all around Palm Beach, they all compete with this award, and all the seniors compete. And in my class, I believe it was about 500 seniors or more that were in my class. And I mean, if you count it all up, in first they decide in your school. And in your school, there are about 24 sections, I believe,
Yes.
or 24, 20, 30, something like that, around that area. And you have like sections for um, science, math, language, business, you know,
What
awards like.
what section were you in?
I was finally in the foreign language section.
Okay.
Yeah, so finally I had to, so all the classes at school, they decide who becomes who, like who will go for which category, who will go for which awards,
So
and
you,
you
so you
can
are
compete with other
so
seniors,
so you
with
are
the
allowed
other.
so you are allowed to represent your school, Jupiter High School, for foreign
Yes.
language, right? And could you tell a little bit how many children were at the awards to compete for that?
For my section, I can't remember exactly.
The number of schools that
I know that more than 100 schools competed in this award, and from each school there's at least one representing that subject, that award. So I was competing against more than 100 students for that language arts or language foreign language, sorry, for the foreign language awards. Finally, I was able to receive third place, and yeah, and I was able to get a scholarship of around 2,500, I believe. Yeah, and I
wow,
was able to use the scholarship too.
beautiful. So, what is the major lesson that you learned from all this?
From all of this, I learned that no matter, you know, life can knock us down and leave us with a decision to be either a loser or a warrior. And we have to take the choice and to take the opportunity to be the warrior if you want to achieve your goal and your dream. And that's where it all is, you know. If you want to take the extra mile and if you want to achieve your goals, then I say you take the extra mile.
So, what would you tell anybody who was told that their dream was not possible?
Could you say that again?
So, if anybody tells you, like, oh, it happened to me too, that they told me their dream wasn't possible, can you give
Mhm.
me some advice on how to make it happen anyway?
So, what I believed is that it really doesn't matter what the people around you think, as long as you don't give up on yourself. And that's really important. If you keep believing in yourself, it doesn't really matter what the others around you think. If they don't believe in you, you just search for other people that do believe in you. And you continue your path on that road, and you will find those few friends and those few peers that are willing to support you. But you have to put the effort first. And once the people around you see you put the effort, they'll start to believe in you. And that's where it all starts, with you.
So, what would you tell anybody who's suffering from a learning disability?
So I've seen so many different learning disabilities, and I'm just lucky that I did not have to go through the learning disabilities that many others have, you know. But I do would say that
He's Samuel is not anymore online, it seems. Something went wrong maybe with his computer. We're gonna try to get him back. Let us see if it's gonna work to get him join us with us again, because I see that something happened. Maybe something happened. So yeah, I don't. Yes, you're back. Great.
okay, great.
Okay, good. Something happened with your computer. Okay. So you said, what would you tell anybody suffering from a learning disability? Because everybody, of course, have different ones.
Yes.
But how should they approach it to make sure that they could get anyway? Although other people said they couldn't achieve it, they could anyway achieve their dreams. You know.
Mhm. Yes, yes. So in my case, you know, I mean, I would just say to everyone who has a learning disability, embrace your learning disability. Embrace it, use it to your advantage. There are many scholarships out there also for learning disabilities, and you can really use it to your advantage. And if you can prove to the peers around you that you can overcome and achieve your goals and overcome any hurdles, then you are the person, that proves them, wrong, and shows them that you can be a leader in your own way. And that's really, powerful, that even though many of us that have a learning disability, that you can still overcome and achieve your goals. And once you do, once you achieve one of your goals, you feel like you can achieve anything.
Fantastic. So what I love about your story, what I love about what you said, is that anything is possible, and that we can all have a dream, and that you just have to put more effort. Some people just have a little bit more difficulties than others.
That's right.
And acknowledge that, to take it at heart. And most important also, that I found beautiful what you said, is that you have to make a decision in life, right?
That's right. Yes.
Major decision of whether you are a victim or a warrior, and you work hard for it, or you just remain a victim, right? But that you didn't do that, you decided to be the warrior. What does it feel for you like? How did it feel like for you to make that decision once and for all?
To become a warrior?
Yeah. Does it impact the rest of your life, you think, that you made that decision at that time?
Yes, it does. It does. I can see that when I started to become a warrior, and when I decided now once and for all I'll be a warrior, I can see all the work and the hard effort that I put in my high school. I can see it all come back to me now in college and university. And and now in the university, I also continue to be a warrior. I also continue to lead students. I am now also in a program where we focus on leadership. It's called Lead, and we focus on leadership, and we help students become the leader and understand their leadership styles. And yeah, I mean, once you become a warrior, you never stop becoming one. You continue being one. Yes.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for joining. And I think a lot of people will love this interview, will be able to relate with it. And of course, everybody listening, if you have any questions, put it in the comments, and then someone can reply on it, or let us know what is the points that you heard from this interview that you loved most, that you were able to take away from this. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.